Gritty realism films have very high levels of verisimilitude, which makes it very realistic. The films are usually filmed on the location and they're not on sets compared to blockbuster films. So, blockbuster films are normally filmed on set, whereas gritty realism films are filmed on the actual location, and this is also due to the nature of the film and the themes, but also the low budgets that they have, and this adds to the realisticness of the films, therefore creating more high levels of verisimilitude. They're normally filmed in high populated areas, for example like London, and like Bullet Boy was filmed in a high populated area, and it's unlikely to be in like a countryside or rural area or setting. They also address issues that no one wants to discuss. So, for example, in the opening sequence of This Is England, and I watched a film for it also, the topic is racism, and this isn't a popular subject with many films because people don't really want to see it or discuss it. But this is the main theme in This Is England, which is a gritty realism film. So this therefore makes gritty realisms educational in some kind of way. They also have key themes: violence, drugs, dysfunctional families. So, for example, in Bullet Boy, there was violence and drugs, and in This Is England and Kidulthood, there was also violence and drugs. The colours in gritty realisms are normally quite grey and dull. There's not any use of high key lighting or extra lights, so it's all natural. This is due to the low budgets, but also the nature of the film, and it adds high levels of verisimilitude again. You're not likely to see sharpshooter lighting, which is mostly seen in horror movies. Also, the main characters are the victims to the themes. For example, in Fish Tank, she was the victim for what was going on in the film. This kind of shows what's going on in their lives, and this means that the audiences can relate to it, so which makes the film more interesting if you can relate to something. Because they're low budget films, and the audiences aren't that big, and normally they're kind of aimed at the UK only, whereas blockbuster films are aimed at on an international scale. The film needs to be interesting, have a good storyline which can capture the audience and raise enigma codes. The music in gritty realism films is normally I'd say it's well known, but it's not at the same time. So in blockbuster films, you'll see music that's in the top charts or is really well known, whereas in gritty realism films it's not as well known, or it's well known but it's old. So in Kidulthood, they use the lights and stuff, which is a well known song, but it's not as popular now. But also Kidulthood's quite a well known gritty realism. It's not not as small compared to other gritty realism films which aren't known. So in the opening sequence of Kidulthood, there's contrapuntal music in the first scene, which kind of makes it interesting. The mise en scène in gritty realisms, the costumes are normally quite cheap because of the low budgets, and normally there's quite a lot of baggy clothing. So for example, in Fish Tank, her makeup and clothing is quite kind of tacky and trashy. So this kind of portrays her character as being kind of trashy and not well looked after. Maybe this suggests what her life is like as well, kind of messy and stuff. So it kind of adds to what's going on in the actual film and sends different kind of signals and emotions. The props, normally from what I've seen in the opening sequences, for example Bullet Boy, and the films I've analysed, there's normally quite a lot of illegal drugs. The locations are normally in the UK, and this is due to the low budgets of the film. compared to blockbuster films which are filmed basically all over the world. So for example in Bullet Boy, it's like flat, and that makes it really realistic, and like obviously you can see in the film, you can see like all the props and stuff, which kind of makes it relatable, because we see it, like, as we're English, we like see it in our own homes, so it makes it really realistic, and which therefore like makes us want to watch it and kind of keeps us in tune with it. And I think like gritty realism is definitely targeted at British audiences due to this. The graphics normally, from what I've seen, are white and black. So for example in Bullet Boy, this creates quite a lot of contrast, and for me, if I read into it, it can kind of like be seen to represent conflict between different people, because obviously black and white contrast well. But also the graphics are quite the graphics and logos to the films are quite low budget, kind of like not as good as the blockbuster ones, whereas the blockbuster graphics and logos are really glossy and like in your face and really like high tech.